This week on the Game Informer Show, Brian Che takes a deep dive into his Ninja Gaiden 4 cover story.
Ninja Gaiden 3 came out in 2012, and it just seemed like this franchise was dead for all intents and purposes. If you haven't familiarized yourself with Ninja Gaiden 4, it's just this super intense action game. The original Ninja Gaiden on Xbox, at least the original 3D Ninja Gaiden, kind of served as like this defining entry in the action genre. I traveled to Tokyo, visited Platinum Games, spent a full day in the studio, which was really cool to be in kind of like the building where all of these incredible games were born out of.
Emmy-nominated television writer and former Nintendo localization writer Mike Drucker dives into his thoughts on UFO 50, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater on 3DS.
And I texted Mike. I was like, Mike, this is almost unplayable. Like this is like you have to use the face buttons to aim.
And answers a couple of questions for us about his time working at Nintendo.
A lot of the things that I was assigned to were, punching up certain scenes where they wanted more jokes, or things like writing the idle text. Writing the idols were basically trophies in the game, so getting to write the text for that was super fun because they basically let you do whatever you want with those. So that was super fun.
We also talk Shinobi Art of Vengeance, the Rogue Prince of Persia, Lumines Arise, and a new roguelite FPS, Voidbreaker. The more that you increase your FOV slider in the graphics setting, the faster you move. And there are other ones that are, the higher your frame rate is, the higher damage you do in the game. There's some really game-breaking things that are really exciting. The podcast is about to begin. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and consider picking up a Game Informer magazine print subscription. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us every week for a discussion of the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals alongside Game Informer staff and special guests from around the industry. I'm one of your hosts today, Alex Van Aken, and today I'm joined by Kyle Hilliard. How you doing, Kyle?
Hey, I got ahead of myself. I was excited.
Oh, you're excited. I get it. We've got a packed show. We're going to be talking about our Ninja Gaiden 4 cover story, the Rogue Prince of Persia, Lumines Arise, and a lot more alongside Charles Harte. How you doing, Charles?
Hello. I played a little bit of one of those games.
Hell yeah. That's what we're talking about.
I'm mainly here as just a fun guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fulfilling your usual role. We're glad to have you here. Brian Che, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I recently rewatched 8 Mile for the first time in almost 20 years, and now I have his terrible Sweet Home Alabama freestyle stuck in my head for the last 48 hours.
That's amazing.
But I also played Ninja Gaiden 4, so we're going to be talking about that.
That's the big one. That's the big one. We'll get into that in just a moment. We're also joined by Emmy-nominated television writer and producer Mike Drucker. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I've been following your work for a while. I think everybody here has.
It's funny that you led with the TV stuff when there's a lot of
I was going to get into it. Known for Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, The Tonight Show. You worked at Nintendo as a localization writer for a while on titles like Zelda Skyward Sword and Kid Icarus. And you have a book out, right, Mike?
Yep. It's called Good Game, No Rematch. It's available hardcover, digital, and audio. And it's basically a book about me growing up with games and how I've humiliated myself throughout my life with them.
That's awesome.
It's really good. It's really good to hop in there. I really like that book a lot, Mike. I don't know if I've talked to you directly about your book, but it's like if David Sedaris liked video games is kind of how I feel about it.
That's
awesome.
A
huge compliment. I appreciate that.
I like it a lot.
And he's also in the issue also.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yep.
You wrote a feature for us in this new issue of Game Informer. What was the feature about, Mike?
Well, in my book, I have a whole chapter about King's Quest and how much I love Roberta Williams. And so Kyle was kind enough to come to me and be like, do you want to talk to her for an article? And I was like, yes, I would like that very much. And so I got to have multiple phone conversations with Roberta Williams. If you don't know who she is, she was a massive video game designer in the 80s up till about the mid-late 90s. She created King's Quest. She basically kicked off a lot of the big Sierra games. Even though she didn't make Space Quest or Police Quest, her games kind of were the reason those got made. And she, did games like Phantasmagoria. Like, she was I would say one of the early game designers to have like a big name across the box where it'd say Roberta Williams, King's Quest.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm so excited to read that feature. I actually, normally in the cycle, I'm a little more involved with, knowing what's going in the issue ahead of time. It's just been so busy around here. There's a lot of cool stuff in that issue I haven't had a chance to look at yet. Which brings me to my point. If you're listening, you can support us today by going to GameInformer.com/subscribe, picking up a print magazine subscription, or if you're overseas and you'd like to support us and read a lot of great and well-researched articles about games, we've got a digital version as well for a cheaper price. So go check that out, GameInformer.com/subscribe. You still have time to place your order for the Ninja Gaiden 4 cover. And we've got a lot of great ones coming down the pipeline as well. But we will get right into the show. We won't wait any longer. Brian, you have been playing Ninja Gaiden 4 as part of this cover story. I'm very curious about this. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, for sure. So usually, Alex, you get to tag along on a lot of these cover story trips.
Yeah.
This was kind of a unique one in that I went solo. And so I'm the only person who had a chance, at least on the Game Informer staff, to check out Ninja Gaiden 4. And, I have a long history with the Ninja Gaiden franchise. I remember going over to my neighbor's house and playing the original NES game. So dating all the way back to the early 90s, I have a history with Ninja Gaiden, and I played the Dead or Alive games as they came out, and then Ninja Gaiden kind of faded into the background of being a dormant franchise. And then when they, revitalized it as this 3D action title for the original Xbox, just called Ninja Gaiden, and then 2 and 3 came out in subsequent years, I remained a fan, although I'm not the biggest fan of 3. I think I gave it a pretty scathing review on another website that I wrote for before, Game Informer. But it's been dormant for over a decade now. It was, I think Ninja Gaiden 3 came out in 2012. And it just seemed like this franchise was dead for all intents and purposes. I think there was the Yaiba Ninja Gaiden game that came out in 2014.
Oh yeah. Where he's fighting ninjas, right?
Yeah. So but that was 2014. I think it was pretty critically bashed, and we haven't heard a peep from that franchise since. And we've gotten a few Dead or Alive games here or there, but nothing like mainline Ninja Gaiden. And this year,
this year we're getting 3.
This year it's been I've called it the year of the ninja since this year started coming into focus, because we got Ninja Gaiden Black 2, which was an Unreal Engine 5 remaster of Ninja Gaiden 2, which came out back in the 360. We've gotten Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. We got Assassin's Creed Shadows earlier this year. We had Shinobi Art of Vengeance, which I reviewed for us this week. We can talk about that a little bit later. And we got Ghost of Yote coming out next month. So that all has been this giant reemergence of ninja games, and it's been really cool because ninjas are incredibly fun to play as, because they have just this incredible suite of abilities and tools and weapons at their disposal. And it turns out you can make a wide variety of games based on ninjas. Assassin's Creed Shadows has so little in common with Ninja Gaiden 4, and Ninja Gaiden 4 has so little in common with something like Shinobi Art of Vengeance. So it's the diversity that we're getting even within the subgenre of ninja action games is incredible. And having spent time with all of them, I think aside from Ghost of Yote at this point, I think it's been an incredibly strong year for fans of ninjas. And the last release in that category for this year, in terms of at least mainstream, is going to be Ninja Gaiden 4. So it kind of feels fitting to have this be our end cap of all right, we're going to kind of put an exclamation point on this year of the ninja by putting Ninja Gaiden 4 on the cover. And, if you haven't familiarized yourself with Ninja Gaiden 4, it's just this super intense action game. The original Ninja Gaiden on Xbox, at least the original 3D Ninja Gaiden, kind of served as this defining entry in the action genre for difficulty and reflex-based, skill-based action combat. And it was kind of the influential, difficult action game before Souls-likes existed. So it was, at that time, it was heavy combo emphasis, using a wide range of tools, and defeating a group of enemies or a boss in like the most stylish and fast-paced manner possible.
Yeah,
And
I think of that and Onimusha as those early titles.
yeah, and Devil May Cry.
Yeah, that's true
Games
as well.
games like that really defined that era of like stylish, adrenaline-fueled action games. And in the time since, you know, the Souls-like has really emerged as like the preferred 3D action title. But it's really cool to see Ninja Gaiden 4 kind of bringing the franchise back into the forefront alongside what turned out to be an excellent 2D side-scroller in Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which came out, I think, end of last month. And so Ninja Gaiden 4, it actually unites two of the most iconic action-oriented studios really in the history of video games. You know, Team Ninja's been the developer of Ninja Gaiden since the Xbox release back in the early 2000s. But they're bringing in Platinum Games, who, you know, Nier Automata, the Bayonetta series, Astral Chain, all these incredible action titles. They're bringing that wealth of experience into the franchise. And I've seen some people kind of express some concern that maybe this won't feel like a tried and true Ninja Gaiden game because Platinum Games is co-developing. It's not even like a support studio situation. It's like there are two co-directors on Ninja Gaiden. One is from Team Ninja, one is from Platinum Games. So they're really working hand in hand. So yeah, I traveled to Tokyo, visited Platinum Games, spent a full day in the studio, which was really cool, to be in kind of like the building where all of these incredible games were born out of.
I have a question about their office. Is it like a fancy office, like a Bandai, or is it more of like a just four walls and cubicles?
It's very sterile, which I found is often the case with a lot of high-profile Japanese studios. You know, I visited.
I was laughing because it's like, Mike, have you ever been to like Japanese studios? I don't know if your career's ever taken you there, but
no, but I've worked for a Japanese game company that had a somewhat similar design philosophy in America.
Yeah, I'm assuming you worked out of the Redmond office, so like you've seen the inside of Nintendo. I've been upstairs at Nintendo, and it's very similar to that, where it's just like, all right, we have very like white walls and like a TV up on the wall with a conference phone in the middle of the table.
I think From Software has like two Dark Souls statues or something.
Right? They have gone down to one now.
They've gone
down
like
to right next to like the copy printer.
You know, the economy is hitting us all.
That's the recession, yeah.
But yeah, so I've been to studios like Game Freak and Atlas and Sega over in Japan, Square Enix. They're all kind of similarly like uneventful in terms of like the decor. Like you see some cool artifacts. Like they have a display case or several display cases at Platinum, and you walk in, you're like, oh yeah, they worked on that game, or that's a really cool like replica gun from Bayonetta. But like outside of that, and like the fact that there are like, you know, 25 gaming PCs in a conference room for like people to play builds of and everything, there's really not anything that would hint that like this is where these incredible games came out of. But you know, I got to play several hours of Ninja Gaiden 4. I talked to the co-directors. I talked to like the lead level design environmental guy, the one of the art directors, and one of the composers. So it was a pretty deep dive into not only how this game came to exist. Like we dove deep into like, you know, how these studios united, how they got signed under the Xbox Games publishing label. And also like, you know, just drilling down into the core mechanics of this game, because like they have to walk that like tightrope of like, all right, there hasn't been a new Ninja Gaiden game in over a decade. So the game design conventions have evolved so thoroughly that they have to address that in some way. They can't just put out Ninja Gaiden 4 and have it play just like 2 or 3. It has to evolve in some fashion. But if they evolve it too much, people are going to be mad. They're like, oh, well, I waited so long for this game, and it's unrecognizable as like a successor to the games that I loved. And so they had this difficult task of doing that. And I really think that they nailed it. Like, it feels definitively like a Ninja Gaiden game, while also implementing various things that Platinum Games absolutely brought to the table. Like small things like, you know, Platinum Games, when you hit an enemy with your weapon, there's usually a hit stop. Like there's a brief pause when like there's a moment of impact, and then you follow through, right? That adds just a little bit of like a visceral feeling. That's not something that's been present in most Ninja Gaiden games, but they did implement that for something like when you delimb an enemy, because what that tells you is now you can perform these abilities that are like basically finishing moves called obliteration techniques. So that was the thing that Platinum Games brought to the table. They also designed the new protagonist, Yakumo, who is like this super agile. He almost seems like he would fit like in with a Platinum Games title. Like he's very like stylish, action driven. He's kind of like, you know, edgelord look to him. So he would fit right in and like just
Who
like
uses
a
the
solo
word
develop-
delimb with a reckless abandon. It's such like a video game thing that we just like walked right by. It's like, yeah, we delimb.
Obliteration technique is also
Yeah.
that's
Well, because amputate sounds so gross. So you can't be like, when you amputate an arm off a character, you're like, wait, why are you doing
That
that?
sounds so surgical. You're not really like you know, doing like a procedure. You're just like
amputate
slicing
isn't
through them.
stylish.
I would say Brian in your cover story used the word dismemberment a lot, which I feel like also fit. Delimb is like, it fits in the Venn diagram of like, it is what I feel like they'd use in a very plain office building. They're like, oh, the delimbing systems. Yeah.
But yeah, like, so it feels really good. And the combat is, I would say, much better than what I remember Ninja Gaiden 3 being. Like, it's funny because I posted it on the Ninja Gaiden subreddit, or I was hanging out in there. Somebody else actually posted it. And I was just answering questions, and somebody was like, how was the AI compared to previous entries? And I'm like, dude, it has been 13 years since I played Ninja Gaiden 3, but they were, you know, they are quite aggressive, like the bosses in particular. And I checked out multiple modes. I fought 3 different bosses. And, you know, all of the bosses are instructive in their own ways. Like one taught you to like, you know, use your grappling hook to get out of danger and like remain super aggressive. The other one taught you to like how to deal with crowd control while there's also like a big bad in the middle of it, like, you know, trying to take you out, but like there's also summoning minions and everything. And then another one was like just staying mobile as much as you can in a boss battle, because if you plant your feet for too long, they'll either throw a projectile at you, or one case she even grabbed me and like just basically like almost one hit KO'd me. So there's a lot of like, oh, this boss teaches you this, and this boss is skill checking you on this. And I think that's what a lot of Ninja Gaiden fans are going to want, because like, you know, these games are built around being a challenging and like skill testing experience. And I always felt like it was teaching me something new and then testing me on that very shortly after that. And Ryu and Yakumo are both playable in the game, even though Yakumo is the protagonist of this one. So I got to play the story chapters with Yakumo, and then got dumped into challenge mode where I could go back and actually play Yakumo's levels as Ryu Hayabusa, the longtime series protagonist. And they do control similarly. Like they both feel like, you know, if you just picked up your controller and played either of them, you'd be like, oh yeah, they control the same. But when you bounce back and forth between the two, it's like Yakumo is so much more agile. He has a wider array of weapons, whereas Ryu is just like a physical force. Like he's a little bit slower. But he also has like just his sword, right? He doesn't really have like a wider range of weapons in this game.
Do you have a preference on how either of them felt?
Man, so I grew up playing games starring Ryu, and I will always like him. But like, I think Yakumo is a little bit more in the style that I like to play, like fast-paced action games. I like a little bit more speed and like the ability to swap between weapons.
Yeah.
So Yakumo eventually will have 4 weapons. And then he also has this form that he can take on called Blood Raven form. He comes from the Raven clan, so he can transform into Blood Raven form, and that also transforms his weapons. So like he has like the dual blades as one of his weapons, which are like really like, you know, evasive and fast paced. But when you take on the Blood Raven form, it actually turns into like this really like just ridiculously long blade that you can just like attack enemies from halfway across the arena. And then there's another one that transforms it from like a rapier sword into like a drill, and you just like could perform like finishing moves on like the enemy with like just drilling a hole through their chest basically.
And meanwhile, Ryu's just got a sword.
He's got a sword, but like, you know, it's like it's the legendary sword that he's had in all of the entries, though.
It seems like they're really pushing you to play this Yakumo character. It's like, oh yeah, he's also got guns, you know.
Well, he does. I mean, so Yakumo also has this staff that turns into a hammer that you can just like smash enemies' heads in with. And then he has the 4th weapon that we just learned about are the assassin's tools. And it's just this wide range of things, like, you know, a giant shuriken and like the claws that ninjas have sometimes, and just this wide range of weapons. And then the Blood Raven form of that is he just sprouts 2 robot arms that give him more range and power with those same weapons. So it's just like, just for an indication of how like absurd this is. Like, it's not like they are like, oh, this is like, we are taking this so seriously. This is only for like, yes, the challenge is serious and the gameplay is serious, but they're leaning into just like the bombastic storytelling and like over the top absurdity. So like, you will not go into this thinking like, all right, well, this is, we got to sit down and straight faced take this game seriously with every story beat that it delivers. Like, it's a fun story. I'm enjoying it. Like, there, you know, like the basically like off screen, Ryu Hayabusa's like sealed this creature called the Dark Dragon, which is a recurring enemy in the Ninja Gaiden series, sealed him away and thought he defeated him, but it turns out he's just raining down like this like toxic rain on top of Tokyo, turning it into like a ghost town. And Yakumo goes to like assassinate the Dark Dragon priestess, and she convinced him that actually we have to break the seal, and that's the only way we'll be able to truly defeat him. So it is a very like just absurd story. So you'll be able to experience that. But like the combat itself, that's where they really take it seriously.
Mike, are you a Ninja Gaiden guy?
I was an old school Ninja Gaiden guy. I think I liked, what's weird is I liked the Ninja Gaiden that was on the DS because you got to like use the stylus to like make the moves and stuff. I think when I played the new ones, I just didn't have the patience for giving the difficulty a shot. I'm a little more patient now, so I should go back to them. But I think like when those came out, I was like, this is too hard. I don't want to learn this. And then just never went back.
Yeah, well, there is the Master Ninja collection, which is on, including Switch, like all major platforms. And I just bought that after playing Ninja Gaiden 4 because I was like, oh, I should replay some of those like sequences. Because I remember really liking 1 and 2 in particular. And I heard that like they made a lot of updates to 3 and it's still not great. Like, it's still the weakest of the trilogy, but like they improved it from the state that I reviewed, like the vanilla version. But yeah, I mean, I think that was even recently on sale for like 50% off, and you get all 3 of those games, like the revitalized versions, and it's on Game Pass too.
I bet if we polled
I'll grab that.
I bet if we polled like 50,000 gamers about Ninja Gaiden, I bet we wouldn't get a single person calling out the DS game. Dragon Sword.
I was gonna ask, what's the full title?
It was a good one.
It's not. You held it like a book, I remember, right? And
Yeah.
Dragon Sword
Yeah.
was like the DS acronym. I was like, all right, I'm into all that, but it's like it's so. It's
a goofy game. It's a goofy game, but that's why I love DS games. They're so weird.
Also,
The stylus is mightier than the sword.
There you go.
That's a
That's the
tagline
title
on
of
the
the
all I
box
got.
or something.
That's all I got. Yeah, that would be my lead. Brian, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say also the Dragon Sword is where I think we last saw the Dark Dragon, which is like one of the main like catalysts for Ninja Gaiden 4's story, in game anyway.
Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, it sounds really interesting. I mean, the Yakumo, apart from sounding like he just got all of the budget put into him, and poor Ryu is just, dealing with dragons. Is there any other big highlights that kind of came from your time in Tokyo, or is that the predominantly like big focus of this story? Is that combat?
The story itself, I mean, the combat, the contrast that exists between Ryu and Yakumo being kind of like the young upstart ninja. He has like a full like, he's got like the support of his clan behind him. And like, so you'll be playing through and like hearing them chatter back and forth about stuff and like discussing like what's going on and what the current mission is and like the state of the world. Whereas with Ryu, you don't get any of that because he's always been kind of like a lone wolf. But Ryu does have, he doesn't have the Raven form, the Blood Raven form, but he does have Gleam State, which is like achieved in the same way. And what that does is it gives him like more aggressive combos, and it also lets him use like the elemental like ninpo abilities, like the fire ninpo. And I think there's one that like kind of creates like a singularity that sucks enemies in. So
Okay.
he does have some tricks up his sleeve, and he does have a lot more power behind his attacks.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that the last, I guess Rage Bound and then Ninja Gaiden 4, Ryu's kind of taking a backseat in both.
Yeah.
Do you think they're kind of setting him up to be sunset, or is this just a way to kind of reintroduce people to the series through kind of new protagonist eyes?
I asked them about that, and they said that they wanted it to be kind of more approachable So by introducing it and introducing Yakumo and having the story told primarily through his eyes, they were able to achieve that. So it wasn't like you had to pick up, Ninja Gaidens 1 through 3 in order to understand the story. All you had to understand was like, all right, Yakumo has been convinced that he has to free the Dark Dragon to defeat it, and Ryu, the guy who sealed the Dark Dragon away, wants to stop him, and that's kind of like the core conflict. And so that was kind of the main reason why they wanted to introduce a new character, was so like it was a very basic storytelling. It wasn't a continuation. But if you played the original or the original trilogy of the Ninja Gaiden 3D games, you would understand like some references and some callbacks and some recurring enemies.
Well, cool. Well, I know that you need to go in here in a second, but you mentioned Shinobi Art of Vengeance earlier. I just want to hear your quick thoughts on that now that you've reviewed it.
Yeah, so this is a game from Lizard Cube, which is the studio that did Streets of Rage 4, and they also did the Wonder Boy revival. So they've actually made a name for themselves, kind of revitalizing these old Sega IP that have just been, kind of thrown in the storage closet for a while. And Sega's always licensed it to them, but this time they actually worked like hand in hand with Lizard Cube. So it's co-developed by Sega and published by Sega, whereas Streets of Rage 4 was just licensed by Sega and then developed fully by Lizard Cube and then published, I think, by Dotemu. So this is the first time that Lizard Cube has worked directly with Sega, and I will say the partnership has paid off completely because, it feels similar to what I was talking about with Ninja Gaiden 4. They really walked the tightrope of like, this is not completely unrecognizable as a new entry in this very, very long dormant franchise. I think the last one came out on 3DS, so it's been quite a while. And they also made it so it is fully in line, in step with like what you would expect from a 2025 action platformer. And, it's arguably one of the most beautiful games I've played probably in adulthood. Like, it is just absolutely stunning. There's one sequence, there's some bonus stages in between like the long like mainline levels, and you're riding on a wolf, and in the background there's all this stuff, and it's very like painterly art style. And I was just like stunned at how gorgeous it was. And like eventually, you do adjust to it. I'm not just like, whoa, every single time like something's happening on screen. But like the first couple of levels, I was like, holy crap, like this is just a beautiful freaking game. And it does carry through all the way to the end. It's challenging without being like controller throwingly difficult. Although there were some parts that I got stuck on for quite a while, but the checkpointing is such that like you don't feel like, oh my god, I have to play through like the last 20 minutes of whatever. Yeah. It's forgiving in that way, but at the same time, like you need to nail these jumps, you need to nail these combat encounters. You can seek out more difficult combat encounters. Like there are these like rifts that you can enter that are going to be either like a really tough platforming challenge or a really tough combat challenge. And that's how
like
you
a little side room and keep going after that.
Yeah, and it's optional. Okay. And then there's also like elite squadrons that you can challenge in order to really challenge yourself. And like there's like I think 4 of those per level, or 3 or 4 of those per level. So like you have like an ample opportunity for exploration. There's relics that you can find that allow you to open up more options in the store. So there's lots of rewarding exploration. And that gives you plenty of reasons to poke around these largely linear, but like still Metroidvania inspired stages. So like the stages are laid out that like, as you explore, the map kind of like builds out, and there are times where you need to go back and like, all right, well now I have this ability I can crash through this wall now or whatever. But they are largely linear, and like there's a point A and there's a point B that you're trying to get to. There's a boss waiting for you at the end of every stage. But the exploration borrows so heavily from Metroidvania for like, all right, well, if I want to expand my shop availability, I need to find these Oboro relics. And then that's going to lead me to like take this path that's very clearly a side path. Or like, it's going to ask me to go back to level 1 now that I have like this new ability to punch through the ground and like reach through like to this other area. So like there are so many reasons to explore, and like it's all very rewarding, and the combat is super satisfying. By the end of it, you have so many different combos and like customizable like loadouts that you can build like through like either like the ninpo abilities, the ninjutsu like ultimate abilities, that it starts feeling almost like, all right, well, first of all, you can customize it however you want. And then 2, like it starts feeling almost like a fighting game where it's like, all right, well, now it's like, square, square, triangle, triangle is like your most basic combo. And then it's like, all right, well, what if I throw like, some shurikens into that, or some ninpo in the middle of that, like light the guy on fire in the middle of doing like a light and heavy attack. And there's all these different combinations that you can pull off, and you unlock them through the store as you go. And it, like, the boss battles are fantastic. The levels, I would say, are probably the levels in the art style really compete between like what is the most perfectly designed part of this game. But also, the platforming feels great, and the combat is fantastic as well. So
nice.
Right now, it is the front runner for my personal game of the year.
Wow.
Damn.
There you go.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds cool.
Highly
But
recommend
on the
it.
de-limbing scale, where does it land though?
I mean,
Yeah.
you do unload a lot of heavy damage into people, and then you can perform an execution style attack that finishes them off and makes them explode like piñatas with like, drops and stuff. So
Sounds like a real obliteration technique.
it is, yes. So
Yeah.
Year of the Ninja, and between the, I wrote a Shinobi Art of Vengeance feature a couple issues for our first issue back.
Yeah.
I wrote the Ninja Gaiden 4 cover story, and then I reviewed Shinobi Art of Vengeance. I'm just kind of tapped out writing about ninjas right now. I will be.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, Brian, thanks for joining us today. I'll let you get back to your very busy Tuesday, but appreciate you coming on and talking about Ninja Gaiden 4 and Shinobi.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, bye, Brian. All right, we are back, and we're going to toss it over to Mike Drucker here to chat about UFO 50 and anything else that you honestly want to talk about, Mike. This game came out, I think, during our dark time. Is that right, Kyle?
The dark period.
I like
yeah,
calling
The
it
dark
that.
period.
What was the PC version? We all were hibernating or something. I don't remember. It was.
Yeah. It was during the dark period, I believe.
Are you playing the Switch version, Mike? Is that what you're doing, or?
Yeah, I mean, I have the PC version, and I bought it again on the Switch, both because there's a certain type of game where I'm like, I want to support it enough where I want more of this type of game, so I'm willing to buy it more than once.
Yeah.
And also, I just wanted it more places.
That's totally. This feels like a game you could just
yeah.
jam on for a long time.
That's what I love about it. I mean, like, I think what people don't realize is it's not like WarioWare where there's a ton of mini games in here or micro mini games. These are full games, some of which take hours to complete. Some take like 15 minutes if you know what you're doing, but if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a collection of fake NES era games on a fake console, as if you're going through the chronology of these games from like 1983 to I think like 1987 or 8. Almost like you're going through the whole life cycle of the NES or the Famicom, except again, it's a fictional system. There's also sort of like a meta thing under the games. Like the better you do in the games, you start to unlock little things that give you information about like this fake console.
That's cool.
But but like every genre is represented. There's like a horror adventure game that's actually great. There are platformers. There's like a bubble bobble soccer type game. There's a game called Party House, which is just an amazing strategy
that's like
game.
the only game I played from this compilation so far. And I love Party House. That game rules.
Party House is almost worth admission, like the price of admission alone. It's so good. Basically, Party House is it's not a deck builder, but think like a deck builder where you're trying to each round, you're inviting people over for a party, and those people either bring in money or they bring in popularity. Those are the two resources. And with popularity, you can buy more people, and with money, you can expand the size of the house to have the party in. And then there's like little things like there's some people who are worth a lot of points, but they're jerks. So if too many show up at once, the cops come to the party. It's like an astonishingly fun and fast strategy.
Did you
game.
say that?
And I love it so much.
Money buys people, but popularity increases the size of the house.
I might have got that in reverse.
Vice versa.
Okay, I heard it and I was like, "That's crazy game design. That's exactly the opposite." Okay, never mind. I was ready to write an essay about.
No, I had it swapped.
What other highlights do
dedicated?
you like from the game? Oh, go ahead, Kyle. What were you saying?
Is it a Switch 2 proper game, or is it a Switch 1 game?
Switch one.
Okay.
Switch one. But like, it's all so simple that I'm someone who still uses my Switch One. Like, my Switch One has become sort of like, I live in New York City, so it's not like my throw it in my bag and take it on the subway type console. Because I no longer care if I break it or lose it because I have another one, which is a terrible way to view your things. But it runs just as well on one as two. And honestly, you could say it runs a little better because it upscales to the higher resolution on the Switch 2, and a few of the games you have a slight like dithering type effect a little bit with some of the pixel art. It's not a big problem, but like if you on like the fan forums, there's one or two people who aren't happy about it, but it works great on either console.
Okay. That rules. Any other highlights from besides Party House?
Like I said, I forget what the horror one is named, but like once you get into it, that's really good. There's the problem is they all have like sort of generic NES style names, and so like I'll be like the one where the lady is jumping on clouds and going up a lot, and I put probably 100 hours into this, and I'll be like, I think that's Velgress, because I'm so used to just clicking on the icon of the game and being like, all right, we're gonna play more of Samurai Dodgeball, which is not the name. Which is not the name of it at all. But another one of the games is basically kind of like a sports game where you're two samurai who are hitting a disc or a ball back and forth. It's so good, and it's so much value for your dollar, which I know is a weird thing to say about video games when I'm constantly begging them to be shorter. But there's so much to do in it. And like you said, like because there's 50 essentially full-size games in it, not each, but a lot of them in very different genres. Like there's a game called there's Pin Golf where it's basically pinball and golf put together.
That rules.
There's so much to do there that it's one of those games also that like you can play for 15 minutes with the sound off if you're on the couch. Like you don't need to put a lot of time into it. You don't need to be like, okay, if there's a cut scene, I'm not going to be able to play this because I only have 45 minutes. It's the perfect portable game that with experiences that take a couple hours or a couple minutes. I know that I'm sounding like I made the game and I'll make money if you buy it. I'm just such a big fan of this game.
That's kind of the job. I feel like on a video game podcast, you end up feeling it. Can I ask, when you played the games, what order did you play them in? Did you go chronological order? Did you just see what like looked good?
I saw what looked good. I thought about going in chronological order, but then I was like, I want to try the one with the dinosaurs. And I went with there's a strategy game where you play birds who worship dinosaurs to get special powers for war.
Of course. As you do. So my initial attention was like, I'm going to play them in order, the way that God intended. And then I immediately jumped around when things look fun. Yeah. And I love that, like, obviously, Derek, you kind of headed up the project, but he pulled a lot of friends. I know Eric, I can't remember his last name. One of his buddies who helped design. I think he helped with like Spelunky and all that. It feels like such a fun. You kind of see their individual fingerprints on the various games as you go through. Yeah. I got it. I probably played like 10 or 11 of those games, and was always one that I wanted to bookmark to come back to because it come out in a complicated period of my life, as we covered. And yeah, that reminds me. Pin Golf was. I was kind of looking up screenshots, and I forgot that was the one that I kind of had my eye on, but I never got to. So I might have to. Do we know how much it is on Switch? I guess I can look real quick.
I want to say $30, but
okay.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. Oh yeah, $24.99. Okay.
Even cheaper.
I have it on Steam Deck. I got it during the dark period, but man, I was just like intimidated by it. Like it was almost like too much, And I just prefer playing games on Switch or Switch 2 just because it's like lighter than the Steam Deck. And so maybe that's the excuse I need to like give it another. It's not that I didn't like it or anything. It was just like I played the first 2 games and I was like, oh my God, I have 48 more of these to potentially try and enjoy, or maybe not even like, and that's fine because I'll just go to the next one. But I don't know. It's a full-time job.
I don't know if it has to do with our job. It probably has something to do with our job. But there is a thing when I'm playing a game when sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I have like 30 more hours left of game before I get to the end of it. Versus being like, I gotta upgrade my armor. I gotta talk to that weird guy in the alley. I gotta see if I can put these 2 pets together or make a 3rd pet. Like all that kind of stuff is what like actually pulls me through the game. But it's like how long you can actually click with it.
Oh, the number one like self-sabotage thing I do is I'll be playing a game and I'll Google how many chapters are in X
Oh,
game?
God, yeah.
And it's like 36, and I'm like, I'm on 4.
Knowing the chapters helps me a lot, though. Like, chapters are...
Really?
I way prefer chapters to an hour count, because, like, I think I just play games slower than most people, or I just get distracted very easily. But knowing I'm like 4 out of 36, I'm like, ooh, I can knock another chapter off today, and I feel like I'm making progress versus, like, I don't know. But
Yeah,
like 50 game, that's another example of, like, you know, I know exactly how much I've done.
Well, yeah, but I'm sort of like that with mini games where, like, for example, like Final Fantasy Rebirth, there was a point when I was like, how many of these goddamn mini games are there? And that actually helped me stop doing the mini games.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I'm not going to do all of this. When I saw how much there was, I was almost like relieved that I would not be doing that.
Yeah. There's also a knowledge of letting yourself be like, I would rather finish this game not 100% than drop it in the middle.
Yes.
Where it's like, I want to enjoy 5 UFO 50 games rather than never picking it up because it's too intimidating. But you have to, I don't know, I personally have to talk myself into that. I'm like, it's okay. I don't need to get full synchronization or whatever every single level.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, great pull for UFO 50. You been playing anything else, Mike, or is that most of what you've been kind of jamming on?
I've been, for some reason, even though I know the remake just came out, in defiance of that, I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 3 again, the HD collection version and the 3DS version.
Hell
Oh, you
yeah.
did start playing the 3DS
Kind of
version?
playing them at the same time.
Same time?
What? Because the 3DS version is so weird and it's not great.
No,
and it controls
it's
weird, but it
bad.
also controls well.
Mike and I left for we met like when I was in New York doing the Metal Gear event, like the review event, and you were talking up the 3DS version. I had remembered that I think I actually got my copy from Game Informer. Like we got an extra copy back when we got like physical copies of games, and I gave it to my brother, and I went to his apartment and got it, and I started playing it, and I texted Mike. I was like, Mike, this is almost unplayable. Like this is like you have to use the face buttons to aim in first person.
It's so wild.
Yeah, that's the right face, Alex.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I love a bad video game. I love like a bad version of a great video
Sure,
game. Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love the Game Boy version of Mortal Kombat. I want the worst version of the best
The worst
game.
version. That's a good way to put it. I will say it was picking the 3DS back up and charging it up and turning it on. It was a moment of like, you know what? Maybe we didn't talk about how cool this stereoscopic technology is. Like, yeah, it gives me a headache and I can't keep it on for too long. But like it does work, and that's pretty cool, you know. Because I just after the first like month of having my 3DS, I would just turn it on to see like, oh cool, it's in 3D. Okay, let me turn it off and play the game. Like that's almost how I played every 3DS game. But yeah,
I used
got
to
to
have
the
this
point-
miserable. Oh, sorry, Charles. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I got to the point at the end of the 3DS lifespan where I would start being like, "Oh yeah, this thing's in 3D," and I'd check it, and the game they didn't even bother to add the 3D. Like a 2015, 2016 3DS game, it's like they were like, "It's actually not worth the trouble."
Yeah, I got my 3DS. I think 2016. I was really late to it. And I was I knew I think the NX, the Switch, had been announced at that point, and I wanted just something in that realm. I was feeling, you know, nostalgic about Nintendo and all that, and I had this horrible desk job, and I would just go to the bathroom and sit in the men's shower room and just play 3DS. There's just Animal Crossing, but I remember the stereoscopic stuff was just like kind of enchanting, even in 2016.
Yeah.
But I would get nauseous really quickly, and so then I would have to go and work the rest of the afternoon just feeling awful. But I should play something on 3DS soon.
You know,
Mike, are you playing Metal Gear on new 3DS or like a classic 3D?
New 3DS.
So can you use the control stick on the new 3DS? Do you have to like change a setting or
It's
something?
much better. God, I don't.
Because I didn't dive super deep into it or anything. I just played for a couple minutes, but I was like, I you know, I don't know what word to use to like. I fondled the nub.
Yeah.
and it wasn't moving the camera. That was the wrong word. Okay. So I didn't know if maybe I needed to like change a setting or something. Because I think it came out before new 3DS. But I said you were wrong at the time, but you were right. You can use the circle pad So there must be some way to turn it on. I just don't know how to do it. Maybe I'll give it another shot, so I don't have to aim with the face buttons, because I was just flabbergasted that's how it worked.
Mike,
That's
as someone
awesome.
who's never played Metal Gear Solid 3, has just started playing Delta, can you pitch me the reason that I should drop my PS5 version of Delta and pick up the 3DS version instead?
Do you hate yourself? Because if you do, and which I hate myself, it's perfect.
Okay.
Like if you want yourself to have a slightly worse time,
If you want to hear
any other selling points?
the other thing,
No.
the other reason I was almost mad about having been tricked into playing it is I was laying on my back playing it, and the opening, it's like you
No.
climb up the tree and get your pack, and it's like it adds a balancing mini game, right, where you have to like balance Snake.
That's so
But the
good.
thing
Oh,
was,
God.
I was holding it on my back, and it doesn't work. And it was like the middle of the night, and I'm like, and Snake just keeps falling off the tree, and I'm like, and I was calling the Colonel or whatever, Commander Zero, I forget what his name was. Which is funny that he was talking about the 3DS and the tilt controls, because they re-recorded new dialogue for him to talk about it, which is very funny. But I had to like sit up at like, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning and like properly sit so I could balance Snake on the yeah. So yeah, does that help you, Charles? Does that encourage you to go pick up Snake
No, it really
Eater?
doesn't. I mean, yeah.
I can't convince you to drop the Mulder one for the last one because I don't have a good reason.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
I think it's
just for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, while
I don't know. I will play like a few months ago, like almost on a dare, I emulated and played the ZX Spectrum version of Street Fighter 2, which is abysmal. I love a good bad video game. I love it so much.
Yeah, that rules.
while we're on 3DS, this might be a good transition, but Mike, I wanted to at least talk a little bit. I wanted to connect you and Charles, because Charles is a big Kid Icarus fan, and of course, you worked on Kid Icarus, and you wrote it, and you talk about it in your book too, working on Kid Icarus, which is fun.
The nicest compliment I got was that Jason Schreier said my book has more about the inside of Nintendo than Reggie's book does.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it really probably does. Yeah. He talks, it is funny because Reggie's book has a lot of discussions about like going out to dinner with Miyamoto, which is like outside of literally, this is how I hung out with him outside the office. Yeah.
Yeah, Charles, this is, remind me, your favorite game is Lego Batman, is that right? Lego Batman 2? But this is up there for you.
Yeah, my first game I ever played was Lego Star Wars, so I have a lot of nostalgia
Okay.
specifically
That's
for Lego
significant.
games.
Charles is a baby.
That's fair.
I'm a baby. I was born in the year 2000, which is relevant for my Kid Icarus story of it was like maybe the first game I remember finding out about on my own. Like I think there was like a Wii, what even was it? They had like a Wii news channel or something like that, but it wasn't like the actual Wii news channel. It was like a way they like played trailers for games or whatever. And that's how I learned about this game, and I was like, this seems cool. And it was like the first time I played a game, and like none of my friends had told me about it. I don't think I knew anyone else that knew what it was, but I was like, this might be the best thing anyone's ever made, and I'm 12 and I know that definitively. But then to return to it later and be like, oh, I do genuinely love this thing, and not in a Metal Gear Solid 3D way. But yeah, I don't know what you remember of it, or like what. I think the thing I am curious about is localizing like text and stuff that can come, I imagine, at a lot of different places in the development cycle of a game. Like that could be something that happens really early, or it could be like pretty late, right as you're like, we gotta record stuff, we're gonna write it all up. So I don't know when you join the team or just what you remember about that.
I mean, the lucky thing about the Treehouse at Nintendo is a lot of their localization projects, probably starting in like the, mid or late 2000s, they started working at the beginning of the cycle. So rather than it being like the old stories of a Final Fantasy game where like a translator got a giant stack of papers in 3 weeks to translate something, we were playing early builds of the game while, Sakurai would give us notes, or, we'd get an email that was like, hey, we've changed the story beat. which means that this dialogue in this section of the document has changed. You guys need to review it. Or, so like it's not like we were developing it with them, because that's a little bit grandiose to say, but we were part of the whole development process. So as the story changed, we got to change with it. And because Sakurai wanted it to be a funnier game, he was much more open to us, not changing jokes without his permission, but making sure that things idiomatically made sense, making sure that the humor that he wanted in specific moments was evoked, rather than we've got to stick to this translation as closely as possible. Like, he encouraged us to like really make it our own. And it was such a cool, fun process. I personally feel lucky that I got to see it as it was being made. I think like if I was just playing a really fun game and localizing it, it wouldn't have been as magic. It was honestly just so cool to be in the middle of that process.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So does Sakurai, does he speak English? Does he understand the jokes when you send it to him? Or would it be like, would he get you a thing, you would translate it, and then someone would translate it back for him to understand, or for the Japanese team in general to understand?
That would be like most of it, because a lot of it would be communication over email. Like he does have a good grasp of English, but I'm sure there must have been at least one video call, but I can't remember it. I remember a ton of emails, including at one point he injured his hand from playing the game so much. So we got like emails from someone else that was like, "Hey, you're gonna get emails from us for a little while because he injured his hand playing this."
I remember that actually.
That was
he talked about it
development?
retroactively, at least. Yeah.
That's so funny, given the complaints people have about the game. Just the control scheme. Literally did it. I for the record, always liked the control scheme, and maybe it's because I was 12 and had 12-year-old sized hands and it didn't bother me in the same way. But yeah, they should have just added a second. I mean, they did eventually add the second control stick on there, but
yeah, I mean, I remember, even during development, this wasn't really part of our conversation, but since, you're also, as a localizer, you're also writing you're localizing the manual and the box art. There was that conversation of whether or not to include a stand, whether or not to include some extra thing to make it work. I remember there being internally a lot of conversations about making this game more playable, you could say. Because it is a difficult game to play on a regular 3DS a little bit.
Did you said you were translating the manual and the menus and stuff. Did you all do all of that? Were you like assigned different parts? How did the work break down?
Well, it was me, and then I was sort of like, I would say like junior. I would say I was the junior writer, and there was a senior writer named Ann Lynn. So she was sort of the overall person, and a lot of the things that I was assigned to were, punching up certain scenes where they wanted more jokes, or things like writing the idle text. Writing the idols were basically trophies in the game, so getting to write the text for that was super fun, because they basically let you do whatever you want with those. So that was super fun. I mean, like to a certain extent, I couldn't drop in a slur or something, but it was like an amazing opportunity to write all those idle texts. So Anne would sort of like assign me to do different things, and she was sort of in charge of the overall project, but she was also the one that was like helping to direct the voice recording and whatnot. So it was very collaborative. It wasn't like go off to a corner and do this. It was more like, hey, this new issue or this new change or, this new thing has popped up. Can you go handle that?
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you for go ahead.
I just wanted to make a request, Mike, to you personally. Could you get that game over to Switch 2?
Yeah,
could
please
you handle
do.
That?
Oh man, I would love that. Yeah, I would love that, despite the fact I would not be paid for it, and there's like a 90% chance my name is not in the credits for that one.
Here's what I was like. Make them make Kid Icarus Uprising. It can either be a sequel or it can be a port or whatever. Get it on Switch 2, and then the day it comes out, I will not play it, and instead I will go back and play the 3DS version all the way through to completion and be like, you guys, you gotta play the 3DS version. It's so much better.
Love it. Also, you're in New York, apparently.
Yeah, I'm in New York. That's where Nintendo is.
Hey,
he's trying to speak. He's trying to speak Mike's language.
Yeah.
My mother was born there.
Really?
Is that true?
Is that Charles Lore?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that my
I just know
mom's
Cincinnati.
birth location.
Cincinnati. Yeah, is no,
my
Charles.
my mom, born and raised in New York, lived on Long Island. My parents met at school in Ithaca, but my dad was always like from Ohio, and then he convinced he got my mom to move back to the Midwest with him, and my mom's immigrant parents were like, Who's this white boy that's stealing our daughter away from us here to go live in Kentucky? That's weird. And it all worked out, obviously.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Charles Harte.
Well, cool. I also recommend, if people haven't, go on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Game Informer. We put up a rapid fire interview with the folks from the Chinese room on Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. And Cincinnati does get a mention in it, and a really funny joke, actually. So go check that out. But kind of moving on, got a couple more topics going to tackle before we get out of here. Kyle, I want to toss it to you. Number one, the Rogue Prince of Persia came out last week. Surprise drop.
In 1.0.
That make
1.0.
Yeah, it came out earlier this year. I think, April, May-ish?
I think it was last year.
It was. I played it at SGF 24.
Yeah.
Jesus
I did
Christ.
it when they announced it. When they announced it, I did like a preview for it. I remember, I got to play it
was that
early.
before the shutdown?
Yes, yeah, and then the sort of surprise detail was like, oh yeah, and it's going to go into early access within like 2 or 3 weeks. So it's been in early access for a while. Yeah,
I don't know why I thought it was earlier this year. Okay, but regardless, even playing the 1.0 kind of came out of nowhere, surprise drop. How is it? I know like the big difference between that and the Lost Crown, that came out last year also, which is that you can kind of wall run along kind of like the 2D scape. Is that correct?
I mean, there's a lot of differences. I mean, the only similarity is they're both 2D Prince of Persia games, kind of ultimately. Because I mean, Lost Crown is a great Metroid-inspired game that I really love, and this is a Rogue game specifically. It's from the folks that made Dead Cells, so it feels a lot like Dead Cells in a very complimentary way. And then there's a bunch of like Prince of Persia mechanics where it's like, it's kind of hard to explain without like seeing it, but like
sure,
you can see the wall behind you. Like there's not always a wall in the sort of the background. Okay. But when it's there, you can run along it. And that feels very like Sands of Time. I love Prince of Persia, like that trilogy, like Sands of Time and Warrior Within, and Two Thrones. Like I adore those games. Those were like some of my favorite of that generation. And then the 2008 game, I think, is this like kind of underrated, beautiful game just for a million different reasons. So I've always been a big fan. And then Rogues, I'm like a fair weather fan, like there are some that I really love. I love Undermine to the point where like when we were in the dark period, I went and like worked with Thorium on Undermine and stuff like that because I adored that game so much. But then even the original Dead Cells, I've never beaten. Like it's just like it never really clicked with me. But this one I really like because it's like I like the IP, which sounds really lame to call it like that.
You're a big Jake Gyllenhaal Prince of Persia.
But it feels good for the combat. The wall running is unique. Like it feels like Prince of Persia, but it doesn't really feel like a lot of 2D action games. And then I also like the sort of story, which fits well into a rogue structure because like the whole idea is like the prince, the titular prince that you're playing as, has always been able to like rewind time. It was like a secret that he kept to himself, but then something happens where like the Huns come and invade his home, and so he's having to like relive this day over and over where he's trying to get the Huns out of his home and like save his family and stuff like that. And I just always love, like Hades does it well too, where it's like I love a contextualization of the mechanics. And it's that's a good point. It's cool that like the prince has a memory of everything that's happening. Like he is reliving this day over and over, and then he's like finding people and bringing them to this one area where they can like stay, and they are also kind of aware of what's going on. So I just like I like the lore of it, like in a weird way. It feels good to play, and I like the lore of it. And it's one of those games. I've been playing it on Steam Deck, where it was like one of those things where I was like, oh, let me check this out. I like Prince of Persia. I liked playing it last year. And I did like 3 or 4 runs, and I was like, I think I might be seeing this thing to the end. Like I really want to keep going with it. Yeah, it just feels good.
I need a new Steam Deck game. Right now, my couch game, I tried to make it World of Warcraft. I'm trying to catch up on the last expansion before they drop the big new one next year with like the housing update and stuff. But then I forgot they now World of Warcraft has like a bunch of cinematics in it, and so it doesn't make it a good couch game anymore, unlike like vanilla WoW. So then I've kind of been playing a lot of Magic the Gathering Arena, and loving that. But last night I got like super punished. I've ranked up to I think like silver, which it really isn't that hard. You just have to play a bunch of matches. And I just got walloped, and I was like, I need another couch game because this is starting to stress me out. So maybe the Rogue Prince of Persia, maybe that gets added to the rotation. Because
Yeah, give it a shot.
I mean, I think the
UFO 50.
that's I also own UFO 50 on Steam Deck already, so I should just play that instead of buying a new game. No, but I think the Saturday morning kind of cartoon vibe of the art style really stood out to me for Rogue Prince of Persia. And I heard, aren't there like some like, isn't there like a special attention given to the weapons in the game? Am I remembering that from like the previews? Like there's a lot of various weapons you can grab? Or
Yeah.
not?
I mean, if you think of Dead Cells, right? Like,
Okay.
like
So it's similar.
It works basically identically. Like it almost sounds like
Okay.
I'm like being rude to the game, but it's like, man, if you like Dead Cells, you should check out Prince of Persia.
Okay.
Like they're very similar.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That sounds cool as hell. Kyle, you've also been playing Lumines Arise, right?
Yeah. There was a demo that came out today, and I don't know how you all feel about Lumines. Mike, you a Lumines fan?
You know what? It is a puzzle game that I think I enjoy once every 8 years.
It's a very political
where
answer.
there'll be like a week where I'm like, I love this game. Why don't I play this more often? And then I'll never play it again for like 8 more years and be like, yeah, why haven't I played this fun musical puzzle game? But I love Tetris Effect, so I do trust them, and this feels like that version of Tetris Effect.
I was like a day one PSP owner, and if you're a day one PSP owner, you're automatically a Lumines fan because it was the best game for the platform, and it was also the one that you could most easily justify to your friends who are like, wow, you spent a lot of money on that thing, and be like, no, but it has new Tetris on it, basically. But so I love that game. And then when they released that game on Switch, like in 2018 or something like that, I fell like way back in love with it, and I was like doing a lot of like elliptical biking at the time, and I found that was a perfect game to like turn off my brain and not think about the fact that I was like moving my body more than I wanted to, and like time would just disappear, you know. And then it was funny. I played the demo and like was pretty much immediately enamored, and I was like, "This is wonderful." The music, it's very Tetris Effect inspired. But then I had this moment where I was like the sort of the shifting style of like that Tetris Effect sort of does, where it's like it changes like the way your blocks look and the music and all that stuff. I was like, I never connected the dots until this moment that I was like, oh, that's what Lumines has been doing from day one. Like, this is how Lumines always works. It always changes music every couple of minutes. It always changes art style every couple of minutes. And it was just kind of a moment where I was like, oh yeah, this is like perfect. Like, this is like, this isn't really, it's more that, it's less that this is like Lumines' take on Tetris Effect, and more that Tetris Effect was, its take on Lumines sort of retroactively, but that makes sense. It's great. Like, I was sad when I beat the 3rd level, and I was like, I wanted to keep going. This is so disappointing.
Is this one also VR? Yes. Does it have a VR mode for this
PlayStation
one?
VR 2, which I...
Oh, I'm one of 8 people who.
Hey, I'm one of the 8 as well, but only because Sony sent me one to review.
Sony sent me one that I paid $500 for.
But this is, I mean, to sort of insult PSVR a little bit, this is the first time I've considered like, oh, maybe it's time to plug that headset back in and play some Lumines Arise. Because Tetris Effect in VR is like one of the best VR games, frankly. Like period.
It's so good. It's and I like the I like the PSVR too. It's actually like a pretty good piece of technology that just wasn't used that much.
It's comfortable. It feels good on your face, but like I just will always go Quest 3 first because like it's just so much simpler. Like it's just like a pain to plug in the PSVR 2, even though it's a nice piece of hardware for sure.
Yeah.
Although PSVR 2 is also really good for like movies. It's like it's a little bit better. I feel like it, if you have Blu-rays and stuff like that, watching them on a giant screen in isolated blackness is really fun.
Maybe I should try that. Yeah.
I'm a terrible person. I feel like I've just convinced you guys I have the worst gaming habits. I play the worst ports of games, and I watch my movies in VR.
Can you hook up multiple VR2s to one PS5?
Oh, and I don't
know.
think
I don't think you can.
No.
So I'm just trying to be like, this is. I don't mean this to sound mean. I was like,
The answer is alone. The answer is alone.
oh, this sounds like a really cool way to watch movies with my partner. Oh, I'd have to buy 2. Oh, I can't buy 2. Oh, that's not what anyone does.
No. Remember when I said you gotta hate yourself? Listen, man, if you work on that every day, you can have a gaming life like mine.
What's the last movie you watched
Oh,
in
so funny.
PSVR?
Sinners.
Oh, that actually
See,
that
that's a
actually
great
sounds
one,
pretty
though.
freaking great in
Yeah,
VR. Actually,
yeah.
damn it, that's great.
Massive screen.
I was hoping you were going to say
massive.
something
Yeah.
really embarrassing, but that actually is like, damn it, yeah, Sinners would be perfect to watch in there. Yeah, we were talking the other day, speaking of PSP, about watching Spider-Man 2 on PSP and like being like, that's kind of reminds me of that. It's like a really unique, kind of terrible way to watch a great movie.
No, I had Spider-Man 2
Shrek.
online. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had Shrek on the Game Boy Advance. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
They also had they had Yu-Gi-Oh. I had
Pokemon. Yeah.
Yeah, there was
SpongeBob.
also a Lizzie McGuire episode that you could watch on the Game Boy Advance player that I definitely owned because I was obsessed with Hilary Duff as a kid. But yeah, that sounds awesome. I recently got sent a Meta Quest 3S. It's the less powerful or the less
Yeah.
it has less resolution, but
like
I
a little
I
slider.
feel like this is my chance now to go back and replay a lot of Enhance's VR titles. You know,
Oh yeah.
I loved Humanity on like a flat screen, but I want to play Humanity in VR. I think they also have some like exclusive levels in VR or something, and then Tetris Effect. And I think I can just do the Steam Link thing where I plug the cable in and I could theoretically play Lumines Arise. So that might be on the docket for me.
That's a
soon,
good
but-
idea. Yeah. I was looking to see.
Yeah,
And the Quest 3, not for nothing, the Quest 3 also, if you do the right pass through, have a giant Steam Deck screen. Like
Really?
if you're just sitting on the couch and want to have a giant Steam Deck, I know you could just hook it into the TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've totally played it almost in that like AR type setting where
Yeah.
you have a big screen floating in front of you.
That
Alex
rules.
is just looped back around to playing WoW on the couch because he's like, wow, the cinematics would be so cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hell yeah. I can't wait. I played Lumines Arise a little bit at this past Summer Game Fest. I think I played like 4 or 5 stages and was really blown away. I mean, the music is just, I think, is it Hydelic? They did the Tetris Effect soundtrack. I think they're coming back for this one as well. And I remember they were playing it through like Jeff Keighley's Samsung partnership TVs that are like, so there's like no headphones.
That's the product
But
listing
so-
on Amazon.
Exactly, yeah. And so I remember like, can we turn the TV up because it's in like one of those private little appointment rooms, and I'm just like ear up to like the TV as much as possible playing Lumines. But from what I heard, it sounded great. But yeah,
I played it for the first time when I played this demo, which I didn't even finish because it was like right before we were recording the podcast.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say they explained the rules to me. I kind of understand it. There's a chain mechanic that I didn't really grasp.
Yep.
And
Yeah, that's
but-
new. So I was a little confused by it too. Yeah.
Okay, so it didn't really matter, and I was like, I think I'm doing a bad job, but Brian earlier was talking about the background art in Shinobi and how he's like, whoa, that's cool, and he was like, but I was like playing the game, like I'd get blown away, but then I'd be playing the game. I don't think I've recovered from that when I was playing Lumines Arise. I think I was just kind of transfixed, and the fact that it makes like a little piano note every time you move it back and forth, I was
yeah.
I felt like an iPad baby, you know. It's like
You're gonna love it.
yeah.
Knowing you and your tastes, yeah, you're gonna really like this.
Yeah, I'm excited for it
I
for
think.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
When's it come out?
Not soon
The full
enough.
version.
yeah. October. I'm on the website. I bet I can find it.
I was just googling around to see if it is coming to Quest, which I don't know if they've confirmed that.
November
yet.
11th.
Okay.
November 11th.
Veterans
They have
Day.
not confirmed Quest. They've confirmed PS5 and Steam, but I was thinking I could hook my Quest up to Steam with the cable. That's
Maybe,
what I was
yeah.
meaning by that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, demo's out now. To be clear, like it's this
Yeah.
isn't like we had early preview access. Actually, I think we did have early access to it, but I wasn't able to get around to it, so I just played it at the same time as everybody else.
Well, speaking of early access, I've been playing a game called Voidbreaker on Steam. It is a first-person shooter roguelite. And the whole concept is you're this person trapped in a digital construct prison, and you are fighting through combat scenarios to collect combat data for an algorithm. And you're kind of like stuck in this hell, just replaying these levels over and over. And there's kind of like, you get introduced very early on to this, this way out. And you kind of like, that is kind of the main thrust for like your upgrades and stuff. But the core concept is you have this weapon, and think like, I think I was describing for the podcast, it's very, people have played Ghost Runner, like very parkour focused. There are some other additional things you can do, like grinding on rails, and you've got your mid-air dash, your typical kind of like FPS, modern FPS mechanics. But there is a really robust layer of destructibility in the world, and you are essentially being thrust into these arenas where there's these corrupt robots that are kind of all coming at you. It feels honestly, Voidbreaker kind of reminds me a bit of the stylings of Returnal, just in like the very like big lasers, lots of haze on the map, that sort of thing. But what makes it really interesting is there is a stagger system tied to various enemies, and similarly to like a Doom game where like you have to perform these staggers, and rather than like an execution in Doom, and that's how you get health and ammo back. And so you're really incentivized to, you have telekinesis to like pick up objects and throw it at folks, and that'll help stagger them. Or you have a grenade that you can, like a basic grenade you can throw, and like if they are above a structure, or if you're underneath like a bridge fighting, you can throw a grenade up above, and the debris that falls down from the destruction will stagger the enemies, and it kind of gives you another layer.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And then I think the really big hook for this game is the way in which you upgrade your weapons. Essentially, it almost reminds me of the hacking minigame in Marvel's Spider-Man, where it's like this like grid that comes
where you
up.
can press skip and not bother with it.
that part. Yeah.
I actually
But think about like that.
To be clear, I actually quite enjoyed those, and I did all of them. Okay, sorry, I just want to make that.
Wow, Kyle, you're really mean. Think about like that Marvel Spider-Man like grid kind of look, but instead you have these sockets that as you progress through the run, and you can kind of similarly to other roguelites, like you can kind of pick which path you want to go through on your route. So, there's a shop coming up, I'm going to prioritize that, I'll do that. But whether you do that or you clear an arena and a chest drops at the end, you are collecting these modules, and there are basic modules like increase your grenade damage. There are also other modules that are whenever you use your telekinesis and hit an enemy with it, they are briefly frozen. Or you do extra damage to enemies that are on fire. And so those kind of like ramp up in a very natural and really fun way. There's also some really broken ones that I've seen on Blue Sky, where the more that you increase your FOV slider in the graphics setting, the faster you move. And there are other ones that are, the higher your frame rate is, the higher damage you do in the game. There's some really like game breaking things that are really exciting.
Crazy.
I
have not gotten to those yet, but that's kind of definitely like a carrot on the stick for me.
Just to be clear, are we sure that that's actually a thing and not a joke post?
No, that is very real.
That's crazy. I love that.
Yeah. And then there are these other sockets that are multiplier sockets. And so let's say you have like I had one socket that was like, if you press F, you will shoot a missile cluster down on the ground. Like you'll kind of call in an airstrike. And then I found a multiplier where I had to slot, let's say my missile was on the right, and I had a modifier that would go into the left of it, and it would multiply that effect 3 times. And so now when I press the F button, I shoot down 3 missile clusters. But you can apply that to whichever effect you want. So if you wanted to, I did one where I had a modifier where the recoil on this gun was ridiculous, and I cranked it up even more in exchange for extra damage. And then I added a 3 times modifier on that. So like every time I shoot this pistol, it's like I'm shooting like a bazooka, but I'm doing like this ridiculous damage. And there's some really great recipes, and that's like really where a lot of like the theory crafting and the character building comes into play. And all of that on top of an FPS that feels honestly just incredible. One of my friends, Jesse Vitelli, was like, "This is what Marathon should have been." I was like, "Oh, that's funny. Yeah, sure."
makes sense.
Like it's very much got that aesthetic, right? And I'm really digging it. I've only probably an hour in, but I'm gonna be playing more tonight. I'll tell you that. Like it's really neat. It's called Voidbreaker. It's in Steam Early Access. But if you're kind of looking for something that feels really fresh and just really playful, I think this is one to watch, or one if you're cool. I know some people avoid early access stuff, but it feels really polished. And I'm really liking it. I can't recommend it enough. I'm excited to come back next week, and hopefully I've stumbled on some of those more broken builds. I really want to get the FPS one. Yeah.
Early access, right? Is there a timeline for a release, or it's probably
not? There might be. I'm not familiar with it, to be honest, if there is. But yeah, that one's called Voidbreaker. And I very much recommend it. I think next week Eric's going to be on the show. I think we might talk about Deadlock. They've just released a huge update for that game, a bunch of new characters. They reworked a lot of it. And I also want to talk some Magic next week. But I think that's going to do it for this episode. Mike, thank you so much for joining us and for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Where can people find your work? Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah.
Anything you're working on?
You can find most of my stuff if you just search at Mike Drucker. That'll probably get you to my social media page. Good Game, No Rematch. It's available everywhere in most English-speaking countries at this point, I believe. We finally got it out in the UK last month, or in July, rather. And yeah, digital, audio, hardcover. Also, when does this podcast come out?
It'll come out later this week on Thursday.
On Thursday, September 4th, if you're in New York City, I'm doing my bad video game show called Shit Arcade at Union Hall.
Oh, I saw that years ago.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that. That is awesome.
It's so much fun. I have spent like $200 on eBay buying new bad games. So, Wayne's World on the Super Nintendo, probably going to bring back Balls 3D just because everyone loves that. It's going to be a really fun bad video game show. We've got some amazing comedians on it, like Josh Gondelman and Dina Hashem. So, yeah, if you're in New York, check it out. September 4th at Union Hall.
Also, maybe I'll hit it up.
Okay, Charles.
Charles's mother, I think, is what we're reading.
Yeah, it's me, Helene Hart. Hey.
I do want to plug. We didn't talk about it extensively, but I do want to plug Mike's piece in the new issue, where you just talked you spent like 3 or 4 hour-long phone calls with Roberta Williams, and you wrote this really great, funny feature about just like what it's like to meet your heroes and stuff. I really like how that piece came together. So it's if you're a subscriber, you can read it, the digital version. It'll be in the Ninja Gaiden 4 issue. GameInformer.com/subscribe. Thanks for doing that, Mike. I think it was
of course. No, thank you for setting that up, man. That was honestly, meeting Roberta Williams was like the conversation of a lifetime. That was so great.
Oh, good.
It's also it's good in that it's very Mike. I feel like we have a lot of when we have freelancers come in, everyone has their own voice, but I feel like his was a very strong personal author voice.
Thank you.
I don't think there'd be any confusion anyone else wrote that piece, and that's a compliment. I think it's really cool.
Love that. Well, again, if you are interested in picking up that issue, head over to GameInformer.com/subscribe. That'll get you all the details. I think there might be a promotion running right now, so you can pick it up a little cheaper. But yeah, that's the best way to keep the lights on, help us out. Second best way is to share the show with a friend and review the podcast on your podcast platform of choice. Kyle, Charles, Mike, thank you for joining me. Follow Charles at ChuckDuck365 and follow Kyle Hilliard at Kyle Hilliard on Blue Sky.
Yeah, Blue Sky.
That's the
only place I'm at, really.
You can follow me at It's Van Aken. Don't forget to follow Mike as well, and Game Informer while you're at it. But that's going to be it for the show this week. We really appreciate your support. And go follow Mike. Go follow his work. If you're in New York, go check out his show next week. And we'll catch you all next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.